of fun here each and every night, 7 nights a week, 365 days a year, delving into the world of mystery. And if that's something you sound interested in, then you're in the right place. And tonight we're going to talk about a mystery that's about the lost continent, the most frozen place on Earth, Antarctica, a source of endless mysteries. But before we begin, let me take a moment to say thank you and happy birthday to our moderator, Tina Tomaszewski. Happy birthday, Tina. Thank you for spending it with us. We appreciate your time. Thanks for holding it down for us in the chat every night, for dropping those quick links as fast as you do. We do appreciate it. And happy birthday to you from everybody here. I'm sure I share in that sentiment when I say happy birthday, Tina. Also, hello to Jesse Miller at the Crow's Nest hanging out with us tonight as well, moderating the chat. Thank you for being here, Jesse. Now, with that out of the way, let me go ahead and get set up here. Like I said, this is the Creepy Little Book. I'm your host, Pete. Tonight's topic is the Antarctica of Mystery. I got a super chat coming in here from Brian TV for $2. Thank you, Brian TV. Much appreciated. Thank you very much, Brian. Brian says, this is far from a cold case. That's the point where I take my sunglasses off and the Who would start playing, right? Well, thank you so much, Brian TV. We do appreciate it. It's good to see you. And guys, check out Brian TV right here on YouTube. He's a friend of the channel. He's a great guy. He puts up some pretty interesting content. And if you are interested in that, then check it out. So, yeah, definitely check out Brian TV right here on YouTube, everybody. So, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people hanging out tonight, a lot of familiar faces. That always warms my heart to see so many of you return night after night, day after day, to delve into the world of the weird. And I hope that it is something you are ready to get into tonight, because we are going to get into some weird stuff with the continent of Antarctica. And I want to talk about some aspects of it that I think are more historical than anything else. I want to get into the strange history here. So let's talk about something called the Piri-Reis map. Piri-Reis was a famous 15th century Turkish naval admiral. His navigational map was discovered by historians in 1929, and it shows the Antarctica landmass the way it is beneath the ice. A copy of his map was given to the U.S. Hydrographic Institute, who were amazed at its accuracy, considering it was drawn 300 years before Antarctica had been discovered. They even used it to correct some of their own maps. Piri-Reis himself stated that his map was created from an even earlier map called the Proto-Lands. What astounds scientists is how these maps were created in ancient times without the benefit of aerial or satellite survey facilities. These questions have given rise to a number of theories about life on Earth for the past 12,500 years. So the Piri-Reis map, very interesting aspect of this whole Antarctica thing. How is the Piri-Reis map, which is supposedly a copy of one even older, something that depicts Antarctica? How is that possible? Compiled in 1513. And only 1/3 of the map survives. But that third of the map includes Antarctica. Now, there are two major discrepancies for known coastlines: the North American coast and the southern portion of the South American coast. On the Piri-Reis map, the latter is shown bending off sharply to the east, starting around present-day Rio de Janeiro. Another interpretation of this territory has been to identify this section with the Queen Maud Land coast of Antarctica. a claim generally traced to Arlington H. Mallory, a civil engineer and amateur archaeologist who was a supporter of the pre-Columbian transoceanic contact hypothesis. Though his dissertations were not well received by scholars, they were revived in Charles Hapgood's 1966 book, Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings. The book proposed a theory of global exploration by a pre-classical undiscovered civilization based on his analysis of this and other ancient and late medieval maps. More notoriously, these claims were repeated in Eric von Daniken's Chariots of the Gods, which attributes the knowledge of the coast to extraterrestrials, and Gavin Menzies' 1412, the year China discovered the world, which attributed it to supposed Chinese voyages, both of which were roundly denounced by mainstream scholars. So, is Queen Mao land, as it would appear without ice, on a portion of this Perry Reese map? Is that what we're seeing here? A copy of an even older map called the Porto Lands. This is bizarre stuff here, folks. How is it possible? Borderlands charts, first made in the 13th century and later expanding in other regions, have been noted for high cartographic accuracy. Okay, so if these Borderland charts are well known for their accuracy, and then the Perry Reese map is a copy of a Borderland chart, one must deduce that this accuracy is impeccable. And if that's the case, why is Antarctica depicted on this map in the 1500s? A copy of an earlier map from the 13th century. And how is it depicted without ice? Where did this knowledge come from? How did this knowledge get into these people's hands? Jesse Miller, the Crow's Nest, points out, easy, we ain't 6,000 years old as a civilization.
Flight assist
and that's something I agree with as well. And it's the subject of a book I've been reading by Jim Handelman called The Unknown, True, and Untold Secrets of Civilization X. And this book speaks to a civilization that is much older than we expect humanity to be, and that was very powerful in the ancient world, in the antediluvian world, if you will. So there is that aspect of what we're talking about tonight. Could humanity be much older than we are led to believe as a civilization? Could we have risen and fallen several times in a place like Antarctica due to things like natural causes? Let's talk about the Egyptian connection. The mysteries that surround the construction of the pyramids of Egypt and South America cause speculation that an ancient, advanced, and civilized race once existed. Artifacts like the Sphinx and the pyramids, impossible for people to have accomplished in the period between 4,000 and 10,500 BC. And even today, with the construction of these artifacts is only barely within our technological grasp. The Sphinx stands in the sands of Egypt, which is believed to be at least 10,000 years old. It is said to show inexplicable signs of water erosion. Explorers have searched a mysterious network of chambers that lie beneath the Sphinx and the pyramids of the Giza Plateau, hoping to find the legendary Hall of Records, which is said to contain ancient knowledge from even older civilizations. Information about this repository of knowledge originates with some of the most ancient and famous of Egyptian legends, that of Osiris and Isis. And clues have been discovered in many other ancient Egyptian texts. The pyramids themselves have spawned many theories about the astronomical knowledge of the early Egyptians. Certain pyramids are said to be aligned with constellations of stars, and even Newton studied the dimensions of the pyramids, relating them to calculations of the size of the Earth. Recent NASA photographs of Mars have revealed pyramid-like structures on its surface, which some astronomers believe is not natural. From ancient history and occasional archaeological discovery, we gain glimpses of civilizations that flourished and died, vast wealth, hidden treasure, and possible accomplishments. Phoenicians, Sumerians, Hebrews, Mesopotamians, Egyptians, and ancient Greeks, they all talk of at least one civilization with phenomenal wealth and power, special knowledge, and extraordinary abilities. This ancient culture may have undergone a cataclysmic event, an earthquake or a flood, even the great flood of Noah, causing the destruction of the civilization, or perhaps the culture endured a slow decline over the centuries of forgotten time. They certainly have disappeared from our world altogether. A possible explanation suggests that of continental drift, violent or gradual, it is possible Antarctica may have been somewhere else 10,000 years ago, with a different, more temperate climate. Some people believe the actual position of the South Pole itself may have shifted significantly in time gone by. And Antarctica was also once part of an ancient supercontinent called Gondwanaland. So, did Antarctica move? Did something happen to cause Antarctica to move in the 10,000 years ago? From a position of a more temperate zone to its current location as the largest desert on the planet. A frozen desert. Something to ponder. Something to ponder, something to consider upon. Is there a South American connection? The ancient Maya that existed as far back as 1200 BC on the Yucatan Peninsula had a complex writing system based on hieroglyphics. Proficient in math and art, their astronomy was astoundingly accurate, and they built massive pyramids throughout Central America. The Incas are associated with huge drawings known as geoglyphs that exist in the Nazca deserts of Peru, which can only be viewed from extremely high altitudes. And some Mayan ruins, such as Chichen Itza and Tikal, have mystical aspects, which attracts people for meditation and contemplation. These ruins, according to some, raise your consciousness and make meditation easier, even for the inexperienced. These ancient cultures are being researched on a massive scale, and new discoveries are made on a regular basis. Writers have speculated that the ancient Mayans were Phoenicians, or the 10 lost tribes of Israel, or even survivors from the lost continent of Atlantis. And we've heard these allegations before, leveled at the Mesoamerican civilizations, the Incas, and such. Were they the survivors of Atlantis? Is that the case?
Scan detected.
And is there an Atlantean connection to Antarctica?
Scan detected.
The legend of Atlantis describes an island in the Atlantic Ocean that sank beneath the sea thousands of years ago.
Scan detected.
Recorded by Plato around 360 BC, as related by Plato to Critias, whose great-grandfather had traveled to Egypt and heard the legend there from an Egyptian priest. The priest, translating from hieroglyphs inscribed on a pillar, told him Atlantis had existed 9,000 years before the time of Plato, and it was a utopian island inhabited by a supposedly advanced race of beings, the Atlanteans. His empire was originally founded by the sea god Poseidon, who wed Clethio, a mortal nymph also known as Asia. They had 10 sons. The eldest son overall was King of Atlas, who gave his name to the island and surrounding world. Atlantis, in fact, literally means daughter of Atlas. On the mountains where Poseidon and Cleito had made it, the kings built the capital of Atlantis, digging a channel deep enough for ships to pass through into the harbor. The land around the metropolis was sculpted into defensive concentric rings of different colored stone, overlaid with metals, and circular water channels roofed over so that the seaway was subterranean.
Scan detected.
At the very center was the temple of Poseidon, surrounded by walls of solid gold. The outside of the temple was coated with silver, and the roof was made of ivory, decorated with shiny metals and precious gems. Inside of statues were kings and queens of Atlantis made of pure gold, and dwarfed only by a gigantic statue of Poseidon, 700 feet tall, also made of gold. This was the royal city and capital of Atlantis. But there were 9 other great cities that were ruled by its own king. The army of the royal city alone had 60,000 captains, a fleet of 1,200
Target
trading.
shields offline.
Chariot produced 10,000 strong.
Warning. Thermal attack. Gaining heat.
Including North Africa, as far as Egypt and Europe, as far as Tuscany. Recent aerial structures have shown circular structures and formations that lie beneath the ice. Jules Verne's wrote a story called The Sphinx of the Ice Field, also known by the title An Antarctica Mystery. According to the book Enoch, ancient
Scan detected.
1773,
Target shields
first
online.
explorer James discovered scroll.
Target shields offline.
This text had existed in fragmentary forms, written in Aramaic in Europe for centuries. It had been rejected by the Church as heresy. The text itself
Target
deals
destroyed.
with angels on earth called the Watchers, who dwelt in high places. So is there a connection there that we're talking about too? I'm just spitballing here, folks. I'm spitballing wild ideas. Are there connections between Antarctica and ancient Egypt? Is there a connection between South America
Under attack. Target shields
Is that another reason?
offline.
Could it be related all the way back to the Atlantis? Is that a reason? Because I don't doubt for a second that it would seem perfectly normal. Deazad for $5. Thank you, Deazad. Much appreciated. Deazad says the Nordics froze over in Antarctica to trap the reptilians. Sold us out. Valiant Thor told me so. Well, thank you, Deazad. And you know what? That is an interesting aspect to all of this, too. The idea of extraterrestrial contact going on down in Antarctica, which is something I will get to here tonight. But it is absolutely fascinating to consider that there was extraterrestrial intervention in the continent of Antarctica. Perhaps there was an extraterrestrial. I've done a video on this.
Cargo
Supposedly there was a
deployed.
UFO war in 2012. And you can find that in my Antarctica playlist. UFO war. UFO war over Antarctica. That occurred back in 2012. I did a video on it about 4 years ago. But, you know, it is a part and parcel, an aspect of this Antarctica mystery that's, you know, not really easy to separate from the overall mythology of what's going on down there. The UFO question, the extraterrestrial presence may exist on the frozen continent, and how long has that presence been there? You know, does this speak to breakaway civilizations in some kind of aspect? So I don't know. I don't know. I think that we leave a lot of doors open here. And plus, Valiant Thor told me so. Valiant Thor of Venusian, himself an extraterrestrial. So yeah, we're gonna parking lot that for a minute. Get back to those extraterrestrials in Antarctica as we move along into the show a little deeper here. Because I've got some other stuff that we wanted to talk about this evening. So we talked about this Atlantean connection here in the Book of Enoch.
Cargo scoop retracted.
But let's talk about King Arthur and the Holy Grail. 6th century king of Britain, educated and assisted by Merlin, scholar, engineer, musician, and magician, who had many prophetic visions. It was suggested that Merlin created the Stonehenge, transported the stone to Ireland, and created a replica of their original layout. An impressive engineering feat. At that time, England was ruled by a usurper who stole the crown, Vortigern. Merlin It showed more the
Scout
journey.
detected.
Which are white dragons slew on their journey. Presaging the onslaught
Scout detected.
of Uther Pendragon, the rightful king. Uther landed with a large army and avoided journey to burn the castle that he had destroyed. Arthur was the son of King Uther Pendragon and Yagra, a Welsh princess. Merlin used the magical arts to arrange marriages between Arthur and Yagra. Yagra was married to the Duke Gorlios, one of the king's allies, and they were married after the death of the Duke. Merlin was closely associated with Vivian, slave and famous mythical figure, possibly part of Druidic Celtic religion, which dominated parts of Britain at that stage. Legend has it that Lady of the Lake delivered a sword to Merlin, who then implanted it in a rock. The sword called Excalibur could only be withdrawn from the rock by the true-born King of England. Many others could not. Arthur drew the sword from the stone with ease and was made king at the meeting of nobles. Arthur was at the time 15. The young Arthur united England in a way never before accomplished by espousing noble and chivalrous deeds and by giving religious freedom to the Celts and Roman Catholics at the time. He defeated the Saxons who fled in England and united all the feudal armies of England and Wales. He married Guinevere, a beautiful princess, and created the Knights of the Round Table at his castle in Camelot. 12 knights. War violence and bade Sir Benedict cast his sword Excalibur back into the lake from whence it came. The sword was caught by the outstretched arm of the Lady of the Lake and sank back. The fine conflict of Adam and Mordred at south of the King Arthur killed Mordred, but received a fatal blow in the process. The wounded Arthur was borne away on a barge to the island of Avalon, presided over by the enchantress Queen Morgan Le Fay, his other half-sister. King Arthur, healing his wounds, lies asleep in a cave in Castamere, that he will return to defend England and made. So again,
Target destroyed.
what does it not have to do with Antarctica? Because this is an extension of this great idea of a great, bigger culture that had spread across the globe in an ancient time. And this character, this Merlin, speaks to an archetype of wizard, sorcerer, engineer, scholar, musician, polymath
Scout detected.
that existed in the ancient world and is brought back into the consciousness by the Arthurian legend. Merlin is your Pythagoras. Merlin is your Hermes Trismegistus. Merlin is one of these ancient characters in every regard that relates back to the idea of a grand mother culture such as Atlantis that may exist under 2 miles of ice somewhere in Antarctica. I mean, the possibility is there. You know, it's undeniable. Is Merlin still out there somewhere? Good question. Good question. One would wonder. One would absolutely wonder. Merlin is still out there somewhere. So anyway. We've got this giant continent. There's very little use to anyone, except for its natural resources, which are likely abundant. And it is the most inhospitable terrain, inaccessible area. It's not like you can go there. I know there's Canadian art tourism, but they just take you out of the section. Just take a few photographs of penguins. some people you have that.
Target shields offline. Target destroyed.
There are very strange notions people have about the true reality of our world. One that stands out the most when it comes to the poles, specifically Antarctica, comes from the work of John Cleves Sims Jr. John Cleves Sims Jr. was a proponent of the hollow earth theory in the 1880s. He was also the first person to suggest that there were openings to the poles. So Antarctica has long been associated with, and it will always be, intertwined intimately with the idea of the hollow earth. And it's a strange idea in and of itself to consider all the aspects that come along with that, and some of the research that was done over the years that may be very proof that some at least believed it was worthy of looking into. And the bird comes to mind, for instance. As Dave Zod mentioned in his earlier comment, the World War II bad guys were also present on the frozen continent during the war. Yeah, Nicole Below, Deception Island. What an odd name. But that's where they'll take you. Well, that's where they'll take you, Deception Island. Come on down and visit Antarctica. You get to see Deception Island. So this hollow earth thing that comes along with the frozen continent really fascinates me to the nth degree, because I am a huge fan of the hollow earth material. The broad scope of it. And 4 years back, there was a lot of buzz around it. And that's stuff we're not even getting into tonight because I've covered it in so many videos before. But there was a lot of buzz around Antarctica, and I'll touch on it briefly. The whole John Kerry thing, the Buzz Aldrin thing, the Ark of Gabriel, the meeting between the Russian Patriarch and the Roman Pontiff in Cuba to supposedly exchange some kind of incantation to read over the Ark of Gabriel after it was brought to Antarctica to be buried somewhere on the continent, for all we know. And who knows what the Ark of Gabriel was at the end of the day. I did conclude after my research that such a thing did exist and did go missing in the 9th century. And when I did dig into this, it brought me to the implementation I think that could be responsible, a crossroads of the world for these three major faiths, would encompass, monotheism here on Earth. And it brought me to Ethiopia. So there's this Ethiopian connection to Antarctica by way of something called the Ark of Gabriel. And I recommend you guys check out my Antarctica playlist. I don't want to give away too much that I already covered there, because like I said, I covered it, and I think I did a really competent job covering it in those videos. So I would refer you back to those for some of these topics I'm just kind of glossing over tonight as we delve into this. Holden Groin, how you doing? I used to work for Felder Hall. The Earth is not hollow. Well, I don't know. I don't know if the Earth is hollow. I like to think the Earth is hollow and inhabited within. But, there's a lot of things that say that's not the case. There could be, as some describe, a honeycomb Earth, where there would be vast chasms inside the Earth, capable of supporting civilizations that exist down there. So I don't know.
Cargo scoop retracted.
Okay, so listen, we're at the halfway point of the show. If you just give me a moment, I'm going to cue up some music, and we are going to talk for a minute about some housekeeping. So here we go. Hey there, hi there, how you doing? Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We really appreciate you being here and spending some time with We do this for about an hour every single night of the year, including holidays and weekends. And if that sounds something you're into and you're not a subscriber yet, then please go ahead and hit that subscription button and follow it up by clicking that notification bell. That way you'll never miss a live stream. And if you do miss a live stream, don't worry, don't fret. You can always catch the replay here, or if it's more convenient, you can download it as an audio podcast from Spotify, or Spreaker, or iHeartRadio. It's absolutely free. And you can check them out that way. If they're a little more convenient for you to carry around on your phone like that during the day, I upload them daily or every day. Sometimes I'm a little behind. I gotta go last night's out. Regardless, check it out. Lastly, check out the description. You find links to it. As well as my email, PO box information. I send you books. I do collect books. I love to read them. So if you got any old books you want to read, throw them in a box and send them.
Target shields offline.
Oh, lastly, if you'd like to support the show, ways to do that. You can go directly to the description. You can pick up some merch from the spring stuff. It requires all kinds of things. It's terrestrial, the spiritual, leggings and t-shirts, hoodies and mugs, all kinds of fun stuff for you to peruse. So check it out. Or Patreon for $1 a month, a quarter a week, less than the price of a cup of coffee. You can help support the stream. So thank you so much for your time and consideration. Now back to the show. Well, thank you so much for allowing me 2 minutes to sell my wares. As I was saying, believe in anything that we're talking about. Because it's not my job to convince people. I just like to inform people and then let you guys make your own decisions about these things at the end of the day. You know. So not ever trying to sell or debunk. That's not what I do. I'm not interested in debunking. I'm not interested in convincing. I'm just here to present the information. Allow you guys to make up your minds about it. Tina Tomazuski points out, we believe for an hour a night. Exactly. For 1 hour every night, we just suspend our disbelief and talk about strange crazy topics.
Target shields offline.
Fascinating. Now, if you guys have any questions, like, I'd love to hear what you guys think about the frozen tide. The neutrinos in Antarctica. So, is that Christopher Dockery? Christopher Dockery. What about neutrinos? I don't know enough about them to speak to them at length, Christopher. Otherwise, I'd be happy to talk to that. But I don't understand enough about it to sit here and confidently say, hey, there are a lot of claims regarding significant. I don't know how to release the string gravity.
Target shields online.
And
Target
the
shields
crater
offline.
has been the product of a meteorite. It turned out to be really just ice making at the end of the day. This is all like Janet M. Young, hey, dropping in to say happy birthday to Tina. Well, thank you for dropping in, Janet M. Young. We do appreciate it. And happy birthday to Tina yet again. We do appreciate her being here. And we're happy it's her birthday. Carol's Cookies with a C. Thank you, Carol's Cookies. Seether's here. Hello, Seether. How you doing? We are talking about
Scan detected.
frozen continent in Antarctica tide. Anthony Perch. Perch? I hope I'm saying that right, Anthony. Now that I have a good job and I got on probation, can't wait to order something, Pete. Much love for what you do. Well, thank you, Anthony. We really appreciate that. That's very nice of you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out. I appreciate every one of you who takes the time to tune in and listen to us have these discussions every night. Cow's Cookies asked, did I sleep okay? Yes, I slept just fine. creepy story about ghosts that tried to lure you away to a ghost picnic. Very creepy stuff. Sapphire Elf is dropping me something here about the neutrinos that Christopher Dockery is asking. I just read a thing on the neutrinos being rejected.
Scan detected.
Consensus seems to be some kind of geomagnetic wave radiostatic. Well, that's really strange. Who knows what's under all that ice? You know, I mean, could there be evidence of a lost civilization? And do you think that it's still there? Or perhaps it's being excavated as we speak? Could there be people in the know about what's going on there? I mean, don't get me wrong. If there's a pyramid down there, I want it excavated. I want them to get in there and find out what's going on. If what they find rewrites human history, I think they're going to keep it all a great big secret. So,
Target shields offline.
definitely something. But I think, you know, if there's something there, they should dig it up. Christopher Dockery, there's artifacts. The California news crew went missing looking for it in 2002. No one else know about this. Christopher, I looked into that California news crew back in 2002. I think I might even mention it in our videos. I could find no real evidence to support it. Nothing. I feel
Target destroyed.
into these Antarctica stories as they were breaking back in 2016 when this was such a hot topic. So that's one thing I'm very skeptical of, Christopher. Like I said, I'm not here to debunk anything, but I never found anything to really support the idea of this missing news crew in Antarctica that went looking for these artifacts. See there, I bet the giant titan Nephilims, the whale people, and the mind control squid are there. Well, the whale people are part of Japanese cryptozoology and folklore, the Ningen of Antarctica. They are whale people, for lack of a better description, as you mentioned. The titan Nephilim could be down there frozen in the ice for all we know. They could have been flash frozen after the flood, washed down there by the flood, frozen in ice to be trapped forever, or until the day of judgment. And the mind control squids, organism 46B, the mind control squid that can shapeshift into even the complex form of a deep sea diver. I believe the Russians took on this creature, this cryptid, in the Antarctic waters, and were worse for the wear after the fact. But it was my understanding they did capture one. It might be extraterrestrial. Very well. Way to Balance says the movie The Thing is actually a documentary. Well, you know what? The Thing could have some. There could be aspects to that aren't too far-fetched. You know, there really could. Antarctica is a place where if strange things started going down, it wouldn't shock me. Sorry here, just perusing the chat for a second, folks.
Cargo scoop retracted.
Now, UFO Paradigm says to test the proof that the pyramids are in fact particle accelerators, to which may support the neutrino aspect. Because there could be pyramids down in Antarctica, and that's speak to that idea. And they should be excavated. I want to know what's going on there. There could be pyramids in Alaska as well. And again, I tie this back to these mother cultures we spoke about before.
Under attack.
Could have its roots in Atlantis. Atlantis could be remnants of Atlantean civilization there as well. They conquered most of the known globe with their colonization.
Cargo scoop deployed.
Christopher Docker says squid are the perfect creature developed in this galaxy. Unfortunately, they're an alien creature. Extremely intelligent. Yeah, cephalopods are interesting just in general. I think octopi is not right. Octopus are strange creatures in and of themselves. And squids as well. I mean, considering how big they can get, I mean, that's fascinating stuff. And we've talked about giant squid before. We touched on sea monsters in that regard. We talked about a lot of weird sea monsters in our sea monster episode. So if you guys are ever interested in checking out some sea monster stuff, we've covered that on the channel too. I highly recommend, if you're new to the channel, to check out the back catalog. I make content that I consider to be evergreen. There's a very little talk of current events unless they pertain to something strange. So we don't really get into current events. We don't get political here. And I try to produce content that stays and remains evergreen. So you can check it out at any time. And it will be just as relevant on the day it was recorded as it is on the day you watch it. So please, give the channel a swirl. You can sit there for hours. Delve into short videos. Or if you like live streams, hundreds, literally, hundreds of live streams up here to check out. So yeah. But yeah, we appreciate it. We appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy it. Just getting caught up with the chat here. Their team dropped a link to the Sea Monsters episode if you're so interested in checking that out. Sapphire Elf says, I think pyramids are logical to have if you want something big and permanent. Mountains last a long time. Let's make a square one. Very good point, Sapphire Elf. And I think that, you know, if there was anywhere strange that I expected to find a pyramid, it would be Antarctica. But I also believe there's pyramids in Japan.
Target shields offline.
I think all these pyramids could probably trace back to a great culture that existed in the ancient past, highly advanced, and that either collapsed in on itself or was destroyed by the Great Flood.
Cargo scoop deployed.
Could have been. There could have been a Great Flood that wiped everything out. And I know, you know, I don't know enough to get into it, but there's the whole mud flood idea and the Tartaria. I know there's Mud Fossil University, I believe, here on YouTube that delves into quite a bit of that stuff. That could be the case. Christopher Dockery, Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, 30,000 years old. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt something that old existing. What's the other one? It's in Anatolia, I believe. South Safini, if I'm not mistaken. I think that might be the name of it. It's an underground city that was built by the ancients. So the accomplishments of the ancient people can be pretty astounding when we look at the fact of the matter is that they had incredible amounts of time to achieve incredible feats. And I think they did. But I do believe that there was one civilization in the ancient past that was highly advanced for the time, and it was able to construct these pyramid-like structures all over the place. And whether or not these pyramids are useful for the harnessing of electrical power is a debate. Right. minutes in says it's almost tracksuit season. Yes, it is almost tracksuit season. It's almost tracksuit season. It's going to be the upper 70s tomorrow. The sun is already starting to set lower. So it's starting to get to be that time of year where tracksuit season. With a crisp autumn, winter coming in, kind of breeze in the air. So I'm very excited for that. Thank you, Cows Coach. For those of you who don't know with the idea that I love tracksuits, I absolutely do, and I do love tracksuits. So yeah, so you want to know where I get my tracksuits? I go to a site called Sweatcedo, which is
Target shields
a bag
online.
job, and they're reward tracksuits. So there you go. Beautiful Paradise is there.
Target shields
Australia was thought to be the last continent when they discovered
under
it.
attack.
Up until they found Antarctica.
Target destroyed.
In Antarctica, in Australia. Excuse me. Pardon me, folks. What else did I want to talk about? Like, who got to Antarctica first? Were there ancient explorers that found Antarctica
Scan detected.
6,000 years ago? Is that why we only know about their existence on the Period Reefs map? Because they had been seen 6,000 years prior by ancient explorers. Mr. Fox, for you, the lost city in the Grand Canyon. Actually, if you're interested, Mr. Fox, for you, friend of the channel, Night Terrors, Bill Madden, just did this on his channel this evening. He did a whole live
Target
video
shields offline.
regarding the lost citadel. Started all this speculation about the citadel of the Grand Canyon. I've also got a short video on the channel here about that, Mr. Fox. So if you're so inclined, you can check out my video on it, or check out Bill Madden's live stream on it this evening on Night Terrors, the channel Night Terrors. Or like I said, right here. Sacred 505, antediluvian tracksuits. I don't think they were that advanced in the antediluvian time they have the tracksuits. I think that's just a product of the modern era here. EFOG HB, Bill Madden, MADDON, on the channel Night Terrors. I'm sure Tina can drop a link for it if she's not minding. And you can check that out. Cow's Cookie says, I want a nice deep green emerald color tracksuit. Well, they do have some emerald color tracksuits. They also have some with marijuana leaves embroidered on them and rhinestones. So if you're looking for party gear, you can definitely party with like that. Way to Balance says, let's not forget about the weird Buzz Aldrin tweet. There was a weird Buzz Aldrin tweet, and I looked into that too, but I could find no evidence that that was real either. So when it comes to some of this Antarctica stuff, I did the research back in 2016, and if there's stuff that I could not find evidence it was real, I'll tell you the truth. I'll tell you that I couldn't find evidence. The Buzz Aldrin tweet said,
Target shields offline.
Target photograph of the Antarctica pyramid, and that was the strange tweet. But it wasn't really from him. It was somebody just made it. You know, as far as I can tell, as far as everything I've researched, it looks like somebody just made that, which is, you know, disappointing because you know, that's something really strange. and really gets the motor running in the realm of mysterious. Even before 313 invokes the secret word, if you're playing the home game, it is Buck Cherry. So if you are playing the home game, please have a sip of your soda pop right now. Thank you, EB before 313. Getting that going. Brian TV says tracksuits are the working man's kung fu. Pete should do a show on ancient Egyptians in Australia, 12 to 16,000 euro hieroglyphs. I like it. I'm going to go ahead and drop that down.
Target shields offline.
I think the possibility exists. I think ancient people destroyed before. I think that's why the period race map is accurate.
Cargo scope deployed.
So there we go. I like that UFO paradigm. I'm going to cover that one. Mr. Fox for you says I grew up in tracksuits in the 90s back in Portland. Adidas, only the finest. Adidas are pretty sweet, but I prefer the velour tracksuits myself more than that swishy material that Adidas is made out of. So the velour all the way. But I was looking for a pair of Adidas Superstars, the shell tops, and you can't get those anywhere. They're just out of stock all over the place. Also pretty pricey. And any of the cool colors I want to get, they're all out of stock. So what are you going to do? Do a Sentinel Island show one night, says Christopher Dockery. Sentinel. All right. Seether, is there going to be a second show? Maybe the subject should be on a religious topic, so that way I don't divert chat or topics by asking about the Magi who invaded heaven. Alright, so Seether, I don't know anything about Magi who invaded heaven, but I know the story of Janus and Jambres who invaded heaven. And I made a short video about it. If there's a topic, I've probably made a video on it. I've been at this for 7 years, and I've been doing this nightly show now for almost a full year. So we almost have 365 episodes of just me talking here every night about a new topic when possible. But Janus and Jambres were part of the Pharaoh's court who contended with Moses in the book of Exodus. And then later on, there's an apocryphal story about them invading heaven and contending with the angels as they fight their way through the spheres of heaven, eventually confronting Metatron, the angel himself, who tricks them into removing their magical talismans and then ejects them from heaven. So there's a video about that on the channel. Seether, it's called Janus and Jambres. I think it's called They Would Crash the Gates of Heaven, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it's called We Will Crash the Gates of Heaven. Oh, see, there's also asking what happened to the other viewer that used to do donations to try to get people to say messed up amusing things. You're thinking of Joseph Aldred. Joseph Aldred kind of disappears sometimes for months at a time, and then sometimes he comes back. So I don't know what happened to Joseph Aldred. Maybe Joseph Aldred will return, maybe not. But that was Joseph Aldred. That's what Joseph did. And I don't know, for all I know, Joseph checks these out in the replay and just can't be here live. But if you are watching Joseph Aldred, hello. People still wonder about you. Cedar says, I've been trying to catch up. It's a very daunting task. I only recently made it about a week or two before it was okay. Yeah, there's a lot of videos to check out, Cedar. I mean, there's a lot. But if you can, like, conjure up a topic and punch it into the search bar on my homepage, you will likely come across some video. with so many videos. Topics that I've covered. Sometimes before I do a show here at night, I sit down and I'll like check my back catalog to make sure I don't use the same title again or thumbnails, you know, because I'm trying to do different stuff every night.
Access permitted. Plot route for approach to landing.
Christopher Dockery says the Art Bell of our time. Thank you, Christopher Dockery. I do appreciate that. It's very, very kind. High praise. As I am a huge fan of Art Bell. Days Not says we need an anniversary show for the live feed. Well, I'm not exactly sure when it started, so I'm not exactly positive when to say a year's been up. I only know that we're coming across it because I've got videos that are like live that go back 9, 10, 11 months at this point. So I think that we're very close to where we started a year ago. But I don't see any. I'm more concerned with my subscriber count than actually how much time I've devoted to the channel. And usually I do something for the year, the birthday of the channel. So every year I'll do the anniversary show. And that's in September. September 5th, September 7th, something like that is when I started the channel. So yeah, I've been uploading for 7 years. The time does fly, does it not? Where does it go? I don't know. But look, we're coming up on the end of the stream here. So I'm going to go ahead and play you a quick video, and I'll be right back.
This kind of broadcasting only works in this country. Here in America, we put on the programs that you enjoy, and we simply come to you and ask you to support them. Help this system of broadcasting work. We need to hear from you. We also are looking for a lot of new subscribers right now. So please become a new subscriber and help us reach our goal of 12,000 new subscribers.
But the most important thing is to get that money in and into our studios right away so that we can bring you more